Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. The double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. And the title of this video is Effects and Signs, Part 2, Energy Crisis. All right, and Lord willing, this video can be, pretty quick. I just want to hit the point that there's a major energy crisis coming, where America does not have enough oil to sustain itself, right, with the Strait of Hormuz being blocked. All right. And let me get this real quick. This is Grok. I tried to go to chat and I typed the question and then they wanted me to sign up or sign in. How much oil does America produce a day is what I asked Grok. It says the United States is the world's top producer of crude oil, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the authoritative source for this data. Most recent weekly data for the week ending March 6, 2026. U.S. Field production of crude oil averaged, 14 million barrels per day. Okay. All right. It says, and that's the point, if you want to read the rest of this, you can pause it and you go ahead and read it. I said, how much oil does Americans could consume a day? All right. Then it tells us the same, people. And it also says the United States is the world's largest consumer of oil. It says most recent monthly data, well, it says for December 2025 here, which, you can use that. It says latest full month available as of March 2026. U.S. total petroleum product supplied averaged 20 or 21 million barrels per day. Right, so they produce 14 million barrels a day, and they consume 20 million barrels a day. So that's not, sustainable, basically. They import, right, from like Canada and, different places, but they, Canada imports from America and America imports from Canada. So I don't know what's going on with that, but with this strait being closed, the global supply for everyone is out of whack. All right. They have released the reserves that they hold in their reserves for emergencies. They have already released some of that. Everyone, Japan, the EU, NATO, America even released 172 million barrels of the 417 that they had in there. Right. They're blaming Biden because Biden used up a lot of oil. They tapped into the reserves when gas was high when Biden was in office. Right, so that had lowered it, and now they're lowering it even more. So they had about 417 in there, and now they have less than that, 200, or however much they have, basically, of reserve oil left, and they're not getting any oil. Right, they may be getting a little bit, but it's not enough to run everything. Some things will be cut and hurt. All right, so let's get this.
Just to oil. A lot of discussion around what the price of gas is going to look like, whose fault it is. The vice president has an idea. It's Joe Biden. Let's take a listen.
All this conversation happens where Joe Biden left us in a terrible situation. And the reason why gas prices are where they are today is because of Donald Trump's work to get them lower, because in the Biden administration, they were crazy high. The gas prices we're seeing today are nothing like what we saw at the peak of the Biden administration, because the president has set us up for energy dominance. And one of the lessons we all have to take away, frankly, every time we get involved in anything overseas, whether it's in the Middle East or anywhere else, the thing we got to take away from it is energy dominance and energy independence. Rely on our own people, rely on our own energy.
Biden's price hike. Remember Putin's price hike? Let's go with Biden's price hike.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's buried in the PTSD files. Let's see how that works out. I think for the administration, they're going to blame Joe Biden after a war that they literally chose to enter. Should definitely work. But if you want to know the real disaster scenario, it's this interview with Secretary
I'm gonna speed this up. You can come and check the video out. You've seen the page.
of Energy, Christopher Wright, where he was on television yesterday, and they said, should Americans prepare for $200 per barrel, which would be around $7 a gallon?
All right, and what you want to look for is not the price of gas, because the price of gas won't matter if you don't have gas, like, because that's what's coming, not having gas.
At gas, here's what he had to say.
The price of a barrel of oil closed above $103 on Friday, and the Iranians are warning of prices hitting $200 a barrel. Mr. Secretary, should Americans be bracing for, should they be worried that this war will actually drive the price of oil above $200 a barrel?
So Iran for 47 years has called the United States the Great Satan. So because they call us the Great Satan, I don't think we are the Great Satan. In fact, clearly we're not. So I don't listen much to Iranian projections of what's going to happen.
So that's a no?
There is disruptions of flow, a very important waterway. I would pay no attention to.
Key words, very important waterway. They throw these things out there.
What Iran says, but there is a lot of energy that flows through the Straits of Hormuz. And depending upon the timing and the manner in which this conflict comes to an end, we're going to see some elevated pricing until we get there. Where it's going to go, we have done many, many actions to mitigate that price rise.
Yep. So the energy secretary is not ruling out $200 a barrel, which, as I just said, roughly around like $6 something, maybe $7 per gallon. I don't even know what they'd be paying in California. Already, California this morning is at $5.50 a gallon. So I mean, if the national average it's $3.70, it's $5.50 out in California. If the national average is like $6.50, I don't even know what that would mean. That would be completely insane for the entire country. Let's go ahead and put B3 up here on the screen. The current price of oil. This is right when we are filming the show. It's right around $97 a barrel. Things are moving a little bit as of this morning. Just making sure to make it totally up to date. A few drops, maybe 95, but roughly in that range. I think Brent remains around $100 per barrel. Some of this is movement on the statements that were made by the Energy Secretary, by the Treasury Secretary Crystal, as you said, who this morning was saying that they would allow the transit of Iranian oil to continue through the Straits of Hormuz. But it just demonstrates how they're really caught in a complete bind. If they want to choke the enemy off completely.
This situation is here. It's unavoidable. They said even if you open it right now and you start trying to get things back moving, you're going to get hit, right? Because things travel daily. People use things daily. Trucks are in and out daily. Boats, ships in and out daily, constantly moving. All of that has stopped, right? Right now, they're using the reserves, but there's no more daily moving. It has stopped. It's like when they was talking about the ports and the Panama Canal, and it was blocked off. That stopped stuff, because that stuff moves daily. But because that has stopped, they were talking about all the problems that it brought, with prices and different things like that. The Strait of Hormuz is the same thing. That has stopped, right? And the prices is rising because it's getting harder the demand is there, it's getting harder to get and all of that. But, it's a global shock, basically. Look at Japan. Japan almost died immediately. Right, 90 or so percent, whatever the case may be, comes directly from that strait. They had to tap into their reserves.
With Iran, they could invade Kharg Island, they could take over their oil refineries, they could block all Iranian oil shipments. But what would that do? It would dramatically continue to restrict the amount of supply that is happening. And at the same time, the Iranians, while yes, they had their in a little bit, and that's the problem that we have right now. It's why they're in a better strategic position, even though they have taken such a beating so far.
Yeah, I love how Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent frames it as like, we're allowing the Iranian tankers to go through. It's like, they're calling the shots here, buddy. Now, of course, we could blow them up if we wanted to, but yeah, that would just harm us and our allies even more. So the strategic thinking around the Strait of Hormuz was sort of based on this outdated idea that Iran, if it was going to close it down, would have to close it down for everyone, and that would harm Iran as well. As long as their tankers are going, and largely, by the way, to China, they're still able to earn the revenue that they need to, continue to produce drones and do what they need to do. And things could get much worse. I mean, they could escalate to more attacks on oil infrastructure. They could escalate to more attacks.
That's a good point. It could get much worse than it already is. It's already really, really bad. But they could go ahead and just destroy more. We had those Mossad agents that got caught trying to blow up oil installations and facilities and things like that, right?
on desalination plants. This is a region that is not self-sufficient and self-sustaining in any way. I mean, they require those desalination plants. They require mass imports of food. They are not self-sustaining in terms of their, agriculture. So there are a lot of vulnerable choke points here. And this is how bad things are. Even the oil executives are like, yo, this is not going to be a good thing. Put this Wall Street Journal report up on the screen. Oil industry warns Trump administration that fuel crunch will likely worsen. American oil executives delivered a
Listen to she's explaining what they're saying here.
bleak message to Trump officials in recent days. The energy crisis the Iran war has unleashed is likely to get worse. In a series of White House meetings Wednesday and recent conversations with Energy Secretary Chris Wright and Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, the CEOs of ExxonMobil, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips warned that the disruption to energy flows out of the vital Strait of Hormuz waterway would continue to create volatility in global energy markets, according to people familiar with the matter. In response to questions from the officials, they said oil prices could rise past current elevated levels if speculators unexpectedly bid up prices, and that markets could see a supply crunch of refined products.
Markets could see a supply crunch of refined products. Markets will see a decrease. All right. And that's the crisis to come. This is 2 Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. This is going to go into your police officers' vehicles, your medics, the hospitals, grocery stores, food stores, your electricity, right? It says, for there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. 2 Ezra 16 and 17. The point I wanted is in 21. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a minute. And you see Trump now calling on all his allies to, go help open the strait, release the reserves. Someone help me, please. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a moment. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, vigil shall be so good cheap upon earth. And compared to just like this dude, JD Vance was just saying, compared to the prices that is about to hit, it's cheap right now, right? This is cheap. Behold, victual shall be so good, cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. It's growing, all right? We can go on to the death. It says, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. All hell, all trouble is about to break through. And I forgot to get this. Let me grab it real quick. Going back to the title of the video, Effects and Signs, right? This is 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that this is the very same time wherein the highest began to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, the end is manifest. Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. Right, and what we're witnessing now is the effects and signs. This is Cuba. This is what's going to come to America. Cuba has no energy, no oil.
Tonight, Cuba is in the dark. The entire electrical grid collapsing today as the country struggles with an energy crisis, leaving millions on the island without power. During this latest blackout, people have been spilling out to the streets here for hours. Fortunately, some cloud cover to keep them from this blistering heat. It's been 3 months since a drop of oil has reached the country. Highways are empty because
It's been 3 months since a drop of oil has reached the country. You know, but they they probably can still fish and all of that. You know.
there's no gas. Women are delivering babies in dark hospitals with no electricity. Conditions are deteriorating. I sat down exclusively with Deputy Prime Minister Oscar Perez Oliva Fraga, considered by many to be Cuba's economic czar. His plan to attract more foreign investors, including large companies from the United States.
Cuba está abierta a tener una relación comercial.
He says Cuba is open to having a fluid commercial relationship with U.S. companies, with Cubans residing in the United States and their descendants. This person tells me it would be a breath of fresh air. And while there are people in the United States who legally do business with Cuba, Washington's trade embargo restricts many companies from doing authorized business there. Today, President Trump was asked about taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba, I mean, whether I free it.
Yeah, so they're talking about Cuba's going to be next, but they got to deal with Iran, and that's a problem they can't fix. Right? All hell is about to break loose.
Take it. I think I could do anything I want with it.
What a relationship would look like, though, remains to be seen, particularly since Congress has to vote, and many in Congress are skeptical.
I would ask and advise any Cuban that lives here or any Cuban in exile, please don't invest in Cuba. You're wasting your time.
Today, Cuban-American activists in Miami came together to send a message. Tonight, Cuba is in the dark. The entire electrical grid collapsing today as the country struggles with an energy crisis, leaving millions on the island without power. During this latest blackout, people have been spilling out.
All right, so that's what we got to look forward to. In the near future.
Violence is erupting in Cuba as protesters torch Communist Party offices, throw rocks, and chant against the regime in a rare show of defiance. Havana is opening talks with the Trump administration while a deepening energy and economic crisis grips the island. Madeline Rivera has the latest from here in D.C. Hi, Madeline.
Lord willing, you edify from the lesson Shalom to the Ophelite, which consists of men, women, and children, Shalom.